Hey everyone, my name is Candis Dyer and this is Canna Corner. We are broadcasted live every Monday at 7 p.m. on the Candis Dyer Facebook page. And you can also catch the replays of old and new shows on the Canna Corner YouTube channel. It normally gets uploaded that night after I do it. I do all that. So it normally comes like right after the live. Also, you can catch us at 2 o'clock on Wednesdays on WJAE 420 Radio, one of our sponsors, as well as on Sundays at 2 p.m. On KM 420 Radio. So another sponsor, great sponsor, Go Green Botanicals, Roach and Bud, our newest in the back over here. Without y'all sponsors, we couldn't do this, y'all. We couldn't help spread the word and let y'all get in touch with the different community in cannabis that there are out there. There's so many of us working hard, and when we get together and put our minds together, that's when we make big things happen. So that was the whole point of this show, to bring stories about people who cannabis is saving their life to y'all, so y'all can see all the different things cannabis is doing. And then I met DK, and of course she's got a book full of different authors that have cannabis stories, and she's got them all in one spot. So we got together and we were like, heck yeah, we should get y'all, like 4 at a time, because there's a lot of them, to come on and talk to y'all and introduce themselves. And you can go to Courage in Cannabis, courageincannabis.com, and find all of this stuff out. Want to make sure I got everything. Hold on before I bring them on. Yes, go green. Okay, cool. Talked about everybody. Heck yeah. Well, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring everybody in one by one. Awesome. Heck yeah. We got AJ here now.
Okay, hey AJ.
Awesome. Heck yeah. I think we do. I don't see him though. I could have swore he came in as the engineer. Oh, I hit admit, but it didn't admit him. Don't you love technology?
It's always our friend until we need it.
Right. Well, heck yeah, y'all. I am so excited to meet each and one of you. To kind of keep it in order here, I'm going to go from the first person on my screen right now, which it changed. So Charlana,
Yes.
Bennett, right? Is that
Yes.
how you say it? Okay, awesome. Heck yeah. I'm so excited to have you today. And you are one of the Courage in Cannabis authors. And you have an amazing story. And you are a founder, executive director of Political Action Committee and nonprofit Cannabis Laws Matter. And I just wanted to and many, many other things, but I just wanted to kind of let you kind of introduce yourself, talk about who you are and where people can find you.
Hi, I'm Charlana McKeithen. I'm here in New Jersey, but I do advocacy in what we call the tri-state, which is like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, and Delaware, because we all are like connected in terms of states. And so over these past couple of years, my advocacy was towards New Jersey, formerly Garden State Normal is what I started as, and doing advocacy work to get legalization done. That's how I did it in New Jersey, along with my other fellow advocates. I'm not trying to say I did it all by myself, so please don't.
I get you. It's a family, a team.
Right, exactly. So with me, I was someone who did not have medical problems, teenager, early 20s, even into 30s. And then I started, I was diagnosed with some autoimmune diseases and depression and anxiety. And so I wanted to get more involved in cannabis, but I didn't know how to do it. Excuse me for the background noise. I didn't know how to do it with all my medical issues. So a relative of mine introduced me first to CBD from hemp, and then CBD from the marijuana plant, which has the CBD and THC for the homeostasis to bring my body in balance. And so that allowed me to go from not being able to leave the house to being able to travel to conferences and educate people on what I learned and what's available to you in the cannabis industry.
Wow, that's just amazing. I really commend you. Like I was saying to y'all earlier, you know, a lot of y'all are OGs in this. I'm a new baby, and I wanted to thank y'all publicly first for all the hard work and the path that you paid for us. And just, I know there's not an instruction manual on how to get things done in this. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, everyone, for all y'all's hard work. What got you started in the Courage in Cannabis to come on as an author? And
it was, I never wanted to be a writer. That's the funny part about it.
Right.
Like that, because I'm a math and science person. I'm not touching anything. If I'm writing, it's because I got to pass the class.
Right.
And so when I saw this opportunity, I was like, because in cannabis, you have to learn how to pivot into different opportunities and leverage yourself to do more things, or you'll get caught in the hustle of everybody else and end up nowhere. So when I looked into the opportunity, I just thought, 18 authors, all of us have a story to tell, that will reach very far. And it has. And it's been a great experience with Dr. Bridget and my fellow authors to do this project. And so I had the opportunity to let other patients know, because I am a medical marijuana patient, that's how I entered into this industry, that you can do it too.
Right.
I testified, I in front of the assembly, in front of the Senate, and did what I needed to do to represent not patients that just look like me, but patients that was experiencing what I was experiencing and didn't have the courage or the support to get out the house and fight that fight. So that's the real thing that put me where I am in this industry. It was to be a voice and a face for people who are going through the same pain, not skin color, the same pain that I deal with.
Right, exactly. And I mean, sorry, I was going to ask you a question and I totally forgot what it was.
It's okay, but let me just say this also. The last fight in New Jersey was for legalization, and I want people to understand that when you really have a conversation with someone about why they're using or consuming or however they use cannabis, it's usually for a reason.
Right.
So we have to balance the medical side with the adult use side. Some people just don't want to be tracked for various good reasons, So, but it's the key to all of this is education, hands down.
Exactly. And that is what I was going to say, that people don't understand. A lot of people are scared, especially doctors, lawyers, for a good reason, about standing up for cannabis. And the stories that each one of y'all have, that's the key, the education part of it, because not everybody is going to relate to my story or Mary Jane's story, but one of our stories is going to hit somebody. They're going to relate. They're going to have a grandkid or a cousin or somebody that has multiple sclerosis or depression or ADHD. And so it's so important for the ones who can stand up and be a face like y'all and to do that, because like you said, education, that is what we need to do. Dare had much money spent telling people propaganda on how bad it was, and we got to make as big of a noise, if not more, to re-educate people on the truth.
Absolutely.
Well, heck yeah. Can you tell people how they can find you, or get an autographed copy of the book and stuff?
Absolutely. I'm an author on the courageandcannabis.com website. You can also reach me at cannabislawsmatter@gmail.com. You can also Google me, Charlana McKeithen, but it would be with Garden State Normal, because that's who I did my advocacy through. But you can reach me. We did a lot of work in New Jersey, and I'm proud of it. New Jersey's moving to do huge things in the cannabis legalization with social equity and the micro business program.
Right. Is there anything that we've missed that you would like to tell people? Like, I know, are there any bills coming up in your area that you might need help with, or anything like that I might have missed asking you?
No, New Jersey really covered the major aspect of it, which was legalization, because even with decriminalization, it's not the same as legalization. So we put through decriminalization, automatic expungements, a great juvenile bill to educate the youth, and the micro businesses that are the conditional micro businesses. They give people who would otherwise wouldn't have a chance in this industry an opportunity to do something and create a business that for generational wealth. And so New Jersey is one of the states where, they really listen to us. The regulators listen to us. And so they're moving at their pace, but it's a good pace. And it's a pace that's going to benefit the women-owned businesses, the minority-owned businesses, and the disabled veteran businesses. So outside, first you do the advocacy, and then you transition into legalization, and that's how you start preparing people to do what's owed to them from being, in communities hardest hit by the war on drugs.
Right, and it's so important, especially how many people we put in prison over this. That minorities and people who are small business and stuff are the ones that are able to break through to this. People don't understand that it's becoming a corporate greed thing.
Yes, it is.
We don't want that. We want the people who've been doing it all along, that that know most about it, to be able to raise their voice and to give the information that the lawmakers need to pass and change these laws. We need and originals.
Just to mention real quick, New Jersey gives you the opportunity to roll up into a vertical. So you can go from a horizontal. You can start with a dispensary, then bring on manufacturing, cultivation, whichever way you want to do it. And you can create from that. If you show it to the CRC, the Regulatory Commission, you can turn into a vertical and start operating like these larger companies. So New Jersey tried hard to get it right. It's not perfect, but it gives you a chance.
Right, for sure. That's awesome. I love to hear that. Well, I do want to go ahead before I go on to the next person, just extend an invitation. I know we kind of do these fast because I got so many on one show, but at any point, if any one of y'all want to reach out to me and do a one-on-one show so that we can talk, y'all are so amazing. Like, y'all are into all kinds of stuff, and I don't have enough time to but definitely reach out to me and we can do a one-on-one sometime, because I really want to dive deep into y'all as well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And you can stay along or you can drop off or whatever. Just we're going to move on to the engineer, AJ. Thank you so much for being here with us. I got to unmute him because I had him muted. Unmute.
Yo, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. How are you doing, AJ?
I'm good. I was like, I don't think I'll be able to say anything. No, I'm good. I'm good.
No.
We're actually out here camping today.
Heck yeah, you're camping? Is that what you said?
Yeah, temporarily. I mean, we're going to be out here by tomorrow, so. we're going to be all wrapped up.
That sounds fun. That sounds
Yeah.
well, cool deal. AJ Warren, would you like to introduce yourself to the cannabis community and talk about a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm AJ. I live in Ohio, a little town, share with a comedian who has been getting a lot of slack on a bunch of things, but it's a great little place. It's an artistic community. Originally from Indianapolis, Indiana, on the east side. Super high crime rates and really no objective for exits, right? So
Right.
your mentality carries you a long way, and to get out of there was already a thing in and of itself. But since being in Ohio and as a legal adult, my advocacy, it was already there as a youth, just as a generational type. I'm a legacy grower, so I'm a multi-generational grower. We've been doing rare species cultivars for 40 years
Wow.
and been building those genetics since. But in the aspects of industrial or textile, outside of the genetics, which we do both male and female, in textile, I work as a research and development engineer, doing pulp, paper, textile. So
Wow.
like polyester shirt recirculation to recycle t-shirts, but also with hemp. So we're using hemp on a grand industrial scale, but at a research level because the equipment and the machines don't exist. And so along with the processes or the SOPs for those machines, and we're developing those right now. That way people who have partake in the Farm Bill that's passed in 2018, with their hemp, they'll be able to use it to generate textiles at a lot easier means than
That's
what's currently available.
right. That's awesome. Because I mean, environmentally, hemp could help so much. They're always griping about how straws are in our oceans and the very fact that
Microfibers.
yes,
Yeah.
you can make plastic with hemp, y'all. I mean, like, and it's biodegradable 100%. There's just so much that it can do. And it one of the problems is it's so expensive right now to get hemp made t-shirts, paper, and stuff like that. So that's awesome that you say you're getting the machines together and stuff. I bet you that would bring the price down a little bit
Yeah,
on
significantly. Well, and especially so like with my advocacy, that's kind of what led me into that job, was specifically to do something that has a full life cycle management where it's a good work balance, but it also incorporates my overall goals, which is to end cannabis prohibition in its entirety. And just due to the history and everything that we have, but the main issue with me that I have is obviously the separation, segregation, the degradation, and everything that's elapsed from that, right?
it's hurt so many people. Like they don't
Yeah,
even realize. It's
yeah,
not
and I've
just the
got to work
person
with
that
some
they
of the
put in
greats.
prison, but you got their
Right.
families and everything. They lose everything when they go in there. And
Oh yeah, I mean a good example is Jeff Mazansky, who he was caught trafficking cannabis, spent 27 years, got out. But then a guy, Derek Harris in Louisiana, you know, he was a veteran, served time as a combat veteran, and for less than a gram, it was
wow.
0.7. He ended up serving 5 years out of a 7-year sentence, but it was a potential life sentence initially.
Right, right. Yeah. I mean, I know Craig Cecil was in there for like 19 years. I mean, that's ridiculous, y'all. This is
After
like
that,
a little amount of cannabis.
yeah,
So we
exactly. Yeah.
definitely need to end cannabis prohibition, period, and get these people out that are in there. It's time now, y'all. It's time to get them out if they are in
Well,
there not at all.
and how you were mentioning about the legislators and everything like that. So here in Ohio in 2015, there was an introduction of a political action committee by the name of Responsible Ohio. And that was operated by, say, 10 individuals or 10 investors. who were trying to introduce legislation to enact on our state constitution that those 10 people would benefit only from the sale and cultivation and be the only ones allowed to do so, closing the market, monopolizing it.
Yes, that's what they're doing here.
And that campaign cost $22.8 million as the failure it was. And that's everything to their buddy mascot, to their little minivan, and their petitioners that they would send out to our community, which they'd send 12 to 15. And like I said, we're known as the arts community or cannabis community or whatever. And so just having them flock here on the perception that everyone's pothead was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But Nick Lachey from 98 Degrees, along with a gentleman, Ian James, and others, they introduced this. It got pushed because it did get all 385,000 signatures, which were needed at the time to go to the ballot, and it failed. And it failed for a big reason, and that's because they wanted it to fail.
Right.
And at the time, John Boehner, the House Speaker and the 8th Congressional District Congressman, he himself, currently works and has a lot of stake in Acreage Holdings, who has most of the licenses for all the cultivations around the country. And since he's taken that position, he's benefited $400 million. But if you think at the time when that bill here in Ohio failed, he then followed up with legislators to enact what we currently have for our medical laws, which limits competition, licenses in terms of availability and all. And so the way I see it is someone took a $22 million investment and made $400 million.
Right.
And now they're talking social equity programs, him specifically. And to me, it's just like, dude, fuck you.
That's why I want Grow Your Own so bad, because I can see Big Pharma is still going to make money off my illness, and they're still not going to give a crap if they're killing me or not.
Well, that's just it.
To grow my own.
I was the baby of 5 brothers. The closest one in age to me, so like I said, being the youngest, the one next, he passed away from heroin addiction.
Oh, man.
While doing it with my oldest brother, who on the way to the hospital with the one who passed away was still doing the same batch of heroin, okay? And I just came from out of state, didn't live there where they were, and he's vomiting on the way into the hospital, and on the way out, I'm telling him, I'm taking you. I'll drive you home type thing. Just hopped on the highway and I took him to a studio apartment, locked him up for 6 weeks, did some cannabis, or what we call TLC.
Right.
THC loving care for him. And he's now 5 years sober, just had his first child in his 40s, and he's thriving.
People don't understand how hard addiction is. And the biggest fear that you have as an addict is getting off, because they don't want to be sick. It's not about getting high anymore. It's about not wanting that sickness. And man, cannabis was a big help for me. I was on meth and I was an intravenous user, and I've been off for like 17, 18 years now. Wow. And it was all because of cannabis. And so, yes, that is so amazing that y'all helped him and got him off. And yeah, I know that Big Pharma and was always my gateway drug. Like, it wasn't weed. And
oh yeah, no, that's just it. Like I mean, just doing what I've been doing, because we've always been doing events and things like that, but we've really tried to help communities upgrade their quality and genetics and everything at a grassroots level, which means there's a gray area what we do, so to speak, right? But it's to help those who are disenfranchised and who are impoverished, who have no ability other than a certain means to try to get things in order. And so with that mentality, we've seen a lot of drug use and things like that. But near us in Dayton, Ohio, is one of the the worst places that's ever been hit by this heroin that's been the past 10, 15 years, alongside with death per capita and everything. But just, I personally saved an EMT who was freebasing fentanyl. So his colleagues had to come pick him up after I put oxygen to him, which fortunately I had, you know, and it's just shit like that. It's the reason why, you know, I don't ever see anybody being able to justify cannabis not being beneficial to people when we all know that
Yeah,
the
all
whole
those are okay for the FDA. Fentanyl,
Right.
hydrocodone,
Well,
meth,
any of the alphabet boys, you know,
and those
they
kill
hopefully,
people. So many people a day.
yeah.
Cannabis never killed anybody. Like, it's crazy.
No, and then the fact they try to talk about psychosis and stuff, it's definitely able to assist, but that's because predisposed conditions that are already there, right? That already exist, pre-existing conditions, so to speak.
Right.
Um, and so, yeah, it can be a trigger, but it may not be the reason why. And
Right.
that's just it. Medical research and just research, like I said, textile, all this stuff, I think is mandatory. But the first thing is quit talking social equity and shit and just give us the market that we deserve, because for years they were saying we were selling dope and they're turning around and calling it hope. It's fucked up.
Yes, it is. It's very messed up. And so, how could people get an autographed copy, and what brought you in courage in cannabis?
So being one of the Ohio writers, there's several of us. And so just throughout the state, advocacy wise, alongside with social media, because I love music and I work with music and help produce and write, and
Awesome.
among other things from whatever media aspect, right? Um, so just through the grapevine, I was able to meet Dr. Bridget and we were able to communicate, and just already having so many friends over all these years within that realm, but also in the medical field and everything, it just seemed right. And so when we connected, it was an immediate let's do this. And I went ahead and put a little bit together, because like my story is kind of wild in the whole aspect, but that portion I wanted to talk about specifically because my mom had just passed and everything. But I'm definitely available, whether people want to reach me, email at aj_warren@live.com. But also if anybody uses Instagram, a big one is best of all buds, and that's underscore between each. And that's where like things from the species that I'm working on currently or trying to develop, it's usually where I'll post those alongside music alike, or past, present, or new, or edited, chopped and screwed, any weird version you might think. It could just vary, but it's like a life story essentially, right? Like current at that moment. But it's all good because it's love for cannabis, it's cannabis art, and that's what it's supposed to all be about, is to elevate people in the regards of how they think about it, because it doesn't have to be an end all be all, because it's not. But the aspects that we know of are so significant that it's fucking ridiculous that we haven't gotten past this part yet.
No, I totally agree with you. I totally agree. Is there anything that I've missed that you want to tell people before I go? And like I said, I want to get all y'all individually because y'all are amazing. And I know y'all have a lot more to talk about, but we have an hour. So definitely want to get y'all back.
Awesome. No, I'm good. I definitely just want to leave everybody with the thought of just, until we go across that finish line, until they really allow us to be free, because nature and all is just something that we should never as human beings be prohibited against, whether it's good or bad, if we're not inflicting harm among others.
Right. No victim, no crime.
Why the fuck can't we try things on our own? That's kind of the point of existing, right? It's
Right.
life.
Right. Yes.
And sometimes that life for people can turn that little infant to fuck everyone. So we got to
Right.
be careful, and we got to help, you know, people be creative and want to thrive and want to be happy from an early age, not destroy this child so we can have a ruined adult.
Right.
It's sickening, that cycle, and it has to end. And it really does kind of come to this point with all the destroyed lives in the cannabis world. It sucks. I've seen it too much. I've seen people go to the end of their life with felonies that they didn't deserve.
People do
I
not
saw
realize
cancer
how, yeah, how there's way more than just that person that got thrown in jail. And then they lose their house, their job, their everything, and they can't vote anymore. They're a felon now and they can't get a job. And then, so how are they supposed to work? And now here in Texas, you can't, and probably other states, if you're a felon, you can't even get a license to do the cannabis stuff. And so what are you, like, you're telling the person who did it, they can't do it now because they got in trouble for doing it, which is stupid that it was in trouble for in the first place. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
They wonder why our prison population is 20%.
And why they keep going back to being criminals, because we give them no choice.
Right. And the recidivism that just exists, just the fact that we have that definition sucks. You know,
Right.
Why can't we have an actual rehabilitation?
Exactly.
Recidivism. It's
exactly.
sick. And it sucks because I've had to try to route and help people with, careers, paths, goals, whatever, from advocacy or volunteer to, physical labor, whatever, skilled trade, to put them into positions to thrive. And I mean, I haven't met one yet who's kind of been a disappointment, because if they got an opportunity, they're gonna fucking go right at it. So the fact that they're not even given the opportunity, right? A lot of people are so pushed down in our disenfranchised communities, or people of color. Dude, it's fucking sick that we still have the police out here doing what they're doing. And then we got to worry about shit we got in our car on our way to our house. It's like crazy.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, AJ, for coming on. Seriously, hit me up later and we can set you a date. My next guest is Mary Jane Borden. Hi, love. How are you doing?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you great.
Excellent.
Well, thank you so much. We got a bunch of OGs here today, and man, you are in a lot. Will you please introduce yourself to the cannabis community?
Me, they don't know me already? What?
Love you.
Well, I'm sure a lot of but for the newbies.
Okay, my name is Mary Jane. It's my birth name. I've been Mary Jane all of my life.
Wow.
That was the name that my father gave me when I was just an infant. So my name is Mary Jane Borden, Borden. I live in Westerville, Ohio, which, interesting fun fact, is what we might call the seat of Prohibition. Prohibition started in Westerville in 1912.
Wow.
And as a result of what a group called the Anti-Saloon League that got very, very powerful during that time. In fact, they had the largest post office in at least in Franklin County at the time, because they were sending out so much literature around the country to get the 19th Amendment, I think it was, that banned alcohol, to get the 19th Amendment passed. They were very successful, but ultimately, as we will know, the 19th Amendment was repealed in 1933, and they kind of fizzled away, I think, around 1970. But right here in Westerville is where it all began.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. So what is it that you are into at the moment?
Oh, let's see. I do, well, of course, I'm an author for Courage in Cannabis, which I got to know Dr. Bridget a couple different ways, and I'll just answer your question because no, you're going to ask it anyway. And she mentioned to me that she was going to do this book series, and I thought to myself, at my OG age, it's time for me to start writing like my autobiography. And so let's call that the first stab at my autobiography. Okay. And so I do the Courage in Cannabis, like the interviews here and the writing for the book and everything like that. Then I've been a writer for the Columbus Free Press, it's just the only really independent newspaper in Columbus, because everything else is owned by some corporate entity, but still the Free Press is independent. And I've been writing for Free Press about 20 years. Now I have my monthly column called Mary Jane's Guide, playing off my name, where I'll tackle various issues concerning cannabis, both in Ohio and then nationally. Then also, I'm a co-founder of a group called the Natural Therapies Education Foundation. And what we do is education. We participate in a couple of pretty big webinars with the High State University's Maritz College of Law.
Wow.
And that kind of helped us get some wheels under our wagon. And so now we're actually a 501c3, so we're branching out to do some videos and things like that. And I'm always fascinated. Every place I go, I tell everybody this. Every place I go, the number one thing I hear, and I heard it tonight already, what is necessary for this movement? Education,
Yes.
education, education. And here we are, we're a natural therapies group that does what? Education.
That is awesome. Yes, because that was the main thing I was finding on the street, is really people just didn't know. They were scared of cannabis. They were scared to say that they were for it. They were scared to go and educate themselves about it. Like, they didn't want to be labeled the stoner, and they didn't understand that it's not. It's medically helping so many people, and it's not a scary thing. So it's just so important that we educate and talk to people about it. I've seen that you have a background of 9 years in pharmaceutical industry analyst of cancer. I know that you know so much about cancer and cannabis then, right?
Well, yeah, for two dimensions. Okay, you're right. Back in the 1980s, right, I had, you can read this in my particular chapter. I was a newly minted MBA, and I thought, oh, I need to get a job, and because I got an MBA now, and I answered a blind ad in the paper. I was actually, I wanted to be a financial analyst, do ROIs and stuff like that. And instead, I saw this blind ad in the paper that they wanted a market analyst. I said, oh, that's close enough, and I applied, and miraculously they hired me. And in its time, Adria Laboratories, which is out not far from where I live, in a little town called, well, it's a big town now, called Dublin, Ohio. And in its time, Adria was the largest marketer of cancer chemotherapy agents in the world. All right, and just out of Dublin, Ohio.
Right.
And so I got very, very familiar with cancer agents. They're methotrexate, fluorouracil, doxorubicin, and I go on and on and on. Just a bunch of drugs like that. And I really, when you're a research analyst, that's what you do. You research it,
right,
and you report this information to management. And I did that for 9 years. So what happened was ultimately the company got bought by, I think it was Upjohn, which then was bought by Pharmacia, or it could be the other way around, which was in turn bought by Pfizer. So now it's all part of Pfizer. So as finally, after the 9 years and the company was going to move out of Dublin, I lost my job. I had a very nice severance package, because I tell you what, they pay good. I'm here to tell you, they pay real good.
I bet.
And it's really nice digs, So I said to myself, as I'm driving away from the company, I will never, ever do chemotherapy. I think this stuff is just awful. And here I am, I know all about it. So we can walk through the other parts of my background if you want. So I get to the point in 2020, during the pandemic, I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer, which is the worst kind of cancer you could possibly have for women, for breast cancer anyway.
Right.
And I said to myself at the time, I said, I'm not doing chemotherapy. No way you're going to make me do this. And I tell you what, they take you over to the special cancer center, and they sit you down. They say, hand you booklets and say, here's what it's going to do. And I said, let me tell you about chemotherapy, because I'm talking to a nurse, and she's going, wow, you really do know your stuff, because you can't fool me.
Right.
You can't sell me here, And so I said, I won't do it. I refuse. I tell you, I actually had a lumpectomy, and I actually did radiation. So here it was. I said, I know what I want to do. and I need somebody to help me. And the person that helped me was Dr. Bridget.
Wow.
And so this is, like I say, 2020. Program's kind of new. And so it was like kind of inventing the wheel. I felt like it was inventing the wheel. But what I
Yes.
wanted to do was I wanted to use Rick Simpson oil. And the Rick Simpson oil is just kind of a code name. It's not patented. This guy never
Right.
licensed his name or anything like that. It's just a guy
He just
who
wanted
has
people to be able to heal
cancer.
themselves.
Pardon me?
He was a guy that wanted people to be able to heal themselves. He didn't want to make any money off of
He
it.
had cancer himself, but he
Yep.
was trying out different kind of like a potions here and there
Exactly.
with the cannabis. And he found that, very high THC, if he used that, really was what he thought did away with his cancer.
Right.
And so, okay, I'll try that. I'll try the RSO. I'll try now in Ohio. Ohio's program is what it is. I'm delighted. I love the program.
Right.
I'm absolutely in love with the program, because if you've been doing this for 20 years and you finally get something, yeah, it's good. It's good. It's better than nothing.
Exactly.
It's darn better than nothing. I always nice words. So anyway, but there wasn't this kind of, they're really, I don't think they really entertain the idea of using the products for the program to treat cancer. I don't care.
Right.
So
the money isn't in the money isn't in the cure. It's in the sickness. Like,
well, if you're wanting to look at it from the pharmaceutical industry point of view, you're right.
right.
They make a lot of money. These drugs that adriamycin is probably I think it's almost $1 billion. Even today, 40 years later, it's still $1 billion product.
Right.
And some of these new ones, like you see on TV, this Kiss Quali, or what are some of the other ones? They cost like $250,000,
Yes.
for treatment for 1 year.
How can anybody get that? How is that medical help for all? That is not, like, I watched my mom have to go in tears for getting an inhaler for $800 a month. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's robbery. I mean, and you know that this is the money is going towards, here's what it was going towards at Adria. Adria had, when I was there, the most beautiful artwork. They knew that their drug, adriamycin, was going off patent in 1988. So rather than invest in R&D and have new products, okay, what they did instead was they bought this fabulous artwork, beautiful stuff. And I'm an artist. I'm going, oh my God, look at all this stuff. But they had this one thing down in the atrium hallway they had when you came in the building. And it was like maybe 5 feet wide. It was a big orb. It was brass, and it sat. They brought it over from Italy as a gift, to Adria. So now it's residing at the Columbus Museum of Art. It was probably worth $1 million easily.
Wow.
Yeah, this is what we're dealing with.
So how did
along comes cannabis?
Yeah, there we go. How did cannabis help you?
It was like, let's talk about the RSO for a minute. In Ohio, the max you can get for THC content is 70%. All right, so
right.
Unfortunately you can't get much more than that, but I don't care.
Right.
If this is what I wanted to go use the RSO within the program, because I wanted to talk about things like this. If I'm getting it, clandestinely, or, in the legacy market, which I don't care if the legacy market wants to produce it, but I want to be able to talk to you about it. I want to be able to say, here's what I did. You can do it too.
Right.
You go to a dispensary, you can get RSO, and you can do the same thing I did. You don't have to suffer through chemotherapy. You don't have to do this. And so when I ended up doing, I found a particular type of RSO. And okay, let's go back in time. Let's go back to 2020. Somebody just jumped in front of me here. Okay, get rid of this. Okay, just a message from my system. So, what I did was, okay, back to 2020. I was diagnosed in September. In October 1st, I started the RSO. All right, I took it 3 times a day. And then by the end of October, I had a lumpectomy. And the lumpectomy results on the lumpectomy were, please. all clear. There was no
Wow.
signs of the cancer. Not in
Oh
the
my gosh.
margins, nothing.
That
And
is
the
freaking
hospital
amazing.
was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And you know what they did? They put it on my drug regimen. You know, when you go from the hospital, these are drugs you're supposed to take. There's a term for it. I'm not thinking of it right now. They put it on the regimen that this is what I'm supposed to do 3 times a day. You believe
Awesome.
that? They did it. You know, this is the type of change I'm looking for.
Yes.
You know, this is the type of change I wanted to implement, you know, because now the hospital is going to go, well, we have this patient that took the RSO and it really worked. You know what? We're sick to death of the pharmaceutical industry too.
Yep.
You know, they are.
They
And
are.
because all this thing is contractual, you know, they have all these things, but there's a whole infrastructure there.
Right.
And so that was, I think, the most powerful thing. Now, here's the real interesting benefit of it too. So yeah, the cancer was pretty much gone by the beginning of November, at least according to the surgery. And I did the radiation, which is kind of sucked, but it was not that bad. But I kept taking a maintenance dose after that of the RSO, like once a day. All right.
Right.
Now, I have permanently dislocated right knee, permanently dislocated left ankle. And at the time, I was barely, this is like, again, this 2020 time period, I was barely able to walk. I mean, I couldn't make it to the front door and back,
Wow.
you know, and I had this big boot I had to wear in my foot, and they told me I'd have to do it for all the rest of my life. And you know what happened? I got rid of all of it. I
Wow.
could walk down without a limp, without even a limp.
That is
Now, I'm not
amazing.
going to run a marathon. You know, you're not going to get me on a football field with
Right.
football, you know.
But at
No, I'm
least
not
you
the new
can
running
walk.
back.
Right.
But the glory of it is that, you know, I can walk without the limp. And again, this is the power that, and I got into this business, all right, because it was a social justice issue to me. The idea of, as we're talking about here, you know, seeing people go to jail for cannabis, seeing the people suffer, you know, this is social justice. This is my cause for that reason. First thing I ever wrote for the Free Press was an essay called Chemical Bigotry, and how the bigotry that surrounds marijuana is kind of like this pervasive bigotry that we see in other places. But so anyway, you know, this is why I got into this. You know, this is powerful stuff. And that's the stories that I'm trying to tell, both in my writing, and then, you know, here and elsewhere, and in the book is obviously it's part of my chapter. So
Wow. I love that story, man. It's awesome. And I love to hear like Rick Simpson and just so many people saying, you know, look, this cured my cancer. This helped it. And they always give us this crap about how there's not enough scientific evidence. We are the evidence. Like, there's
it's a good
plenty of
point, because I
evidence.
think the studies do this wrong. That we're always talking about bringing in people to do these clinical trials. We're going to bring a bunch of people in. We're going to have your people that get the drug, the people that you don't. You know, there's just something morally wrong with that. How are you going to
Right.
give half the people with life-saving drug? The other ones are going to go die?
Right.
You know? Now, I think it's better to do like what I call an N of 1 study. I'm an N. Okay, and I could fill out the detailed reports and stuff like that could to document what I've gone through. You compile enough of these reports together and you have a clinical trial.
Right.
And you don't need to put people through all that, you know. You're the unlucky person that gets the really bad drug, you know.
Right.
And so I think that's the difference here that we need to look at in terms of how we do our research. All of us individuals who do this are our own research subjects.
Exactly. That's why it's so important for us to get our stories out there and get them heard. And man, I just love what y'all are doing. How can somebody get a copy of a signed copy from you?
A signed copy, excuse me. Well, I would say what they do is just email me if they want a signed copy. Now, if you want a copy of the book, you could go to the Encouraging Cannabis website and even purchase a book that's either under my name or Shalana's name, or
Right. I guess that's what I meant. How do they order it from you?
Yeah, but if you want me to sign it, that's a little bit more difficult, because you have to get us either all in the same room. Now, if you email me and say, hey, I want a book, I might be feeling generous
Awesome.
that day, just sign and send you one.
Heck yeah.
I
Heck
just got
yeah.
a few here. I've got a few that here that I haven't really so-called disposed of yet, and so they're probably waiting somebody to who really says, I want somebody to sign Mary Jane, you know.
No, I got you. I'm sorry. One of the other authors were doing the sign thing, so I assumed that everybody, they would get a signed one if they go to you to order it, but I guess I was wrong on that. But how would they?
I have a book on my own that I could sign and send to somebody, but for me to get a book, I'd have to buy it and pay for
Got
it
you.
and then send it to you.
Got you.
But you can do that yourself on the website and get your own copy. Or you could get a copy, like you can get a copy in Audible. You know, you can get a copy in Audible. You can get a copy that's on Amazon. It's not a paperback. You know, you're not going to sign an Amazon digital copy, but you can get it digitally, and it's very nominal price.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, heck yeah. Thank you so much, Mary Jane, for coming on. Was there anything that we missed that you want to tell anybody about before I move on?
Oh, well, just you can check me out. Mary Jane's Guide. I've been doing this for really 40 years, and
Wow.
I've accumulated. I've got over 2,000 drug policy reports.
Awesome.
You know, I've got all kinds of resources. So that's kind of what I'm trying to be now, is to put all this together that I've accumulated over my lifetime, really a truly pretty broad body of knowledge, and then get it out there to everyone for free. I want to do it for free. I don't like paywalls.
That is awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. You can hang out or whatever you'd like.
I'm waiting. I'm just going to sit here and listen to.
Awesome.
I didn't pronounce your name. Idila.
Adela.
Oh,
Like
Adela.
Adela.
yeah,
Adela.
I got to learn that earlier.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've
Oh,
always
that's
wondered
okay,
that, and
ma'am.
I'm going to be blunt and ask you.
Oh, absolutely. A like a O.
Okay, thank
Heck
you.
yeah. So how are you, love? How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good, and thank you for having me on the show. And I just want to make a comment about everybody. I mean, as you see, everybody's story is different, and also, as you know, this industry is multifactual. Depending on who you talk to and
Right.
where you go, is going to look totally different. And I just appreciate the variety that Dr. Bridget has, brought all of our voices together, and all these voices compromise, how we're being treated in this environment when it gets to cannabis. And it's just wonderful. It's phenomenal.
Right. Exactly. Well, Odella, right? Odelia.
Adela, perfect.
Heck yeah. Well, would you like to introduce yourself and tell the cannabis community who you are and what got you all involved in this?
Well, my name is Adela Anwar Holloway. I am a trained technology systems analyst, actually. And I kind of came into cannabis, I wouldn't say by mistake, but I came into cannabis looking for solutions to different problems, and being a pragmatic, solution-based organizational person, I saw that this is a newer industry that's emerging, and also not looked at really the monetary benefit, but some of the gaps within the systems that are broken. And I wanted to approach this from a governance standpoint, because we have a lot of people in the boardroom that make decisions for us, but they don't know us, and they don't know how it affects us, but they're making those decisions. And I wanted to come at that with that mindset. I also, I'm a volunteer chairwoman for an organization that's called NACROMP. It's the National Association of Black Risk Compliance Management Professionals. And essentially, compliance is the cornerstone of every business and company. Right. Compliance is our tax, our the way that we put money into the bank, and also the way that we regulate rules, policies, and procedures of our companies. And I said, let me open up this cannabis industry work group, because there's 9 other work groups that focused on other things, but I was bold enough in my organization to take the stand, not just as a chairwoman, because I really don't care about too much of my social sometimes you got to put your social interests aside as far as your face, and you have to just be on the right side of the public.
Right.
And that's what I did, because a lot of people in this industry, they're coming from the law and the regulator point of view, and a lot of times they don't want to touch the subject of cannabis.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I challenged them, and like we heard some of the authors talk about today, education challenged their ability to understand the medical information about the beautiful healing principles, as Mary Jane has described for her own self about this cannabis. And we did listening tours, and we educated some of those corporate professionals in those offices that are making those decisions, and basically created like a little, have you heard of Clubhouse?
Oh, no, I haven't.
Yeah, well, Clubhouse is kind of like a podcast. It's like a TED Talk that you can talk back.
Oh,
And
okay.
you have the ability to speak up and say what you want to say on the platform, where thousands of people could be listening at any particular time. And they kind of just, it's invitation, and you go into the room and you listen, and you kind of come out with some great information. And I heard Dr. Bridget talking about cannabis, and I met her when she was here in Dallas, actually at a cannabis conference she was here
Right.
for. And I met her, and I was volunteering for the conference, met her, and it's been pure gold ever since. And basically that's how I became into this Courage of Cannabis journey.
Man, that's awesome. That really is. I'm so glad to have you here today. Well, do you know anybody? I know you said that you kind of got in an accident, but do you know anybody that cannabis is helping?
Absolutely, yes. I would say my parents. I would say friends, family members. I got a auntie that is a cancer survivor that's going through that chemotherapy, who has been taking cannabis to help her be able to eat or not feel as nauseated, or just be able to live a quality type of life without having to succumb to the low points of the illness itself, when you're getting the treatment, because that's the part.
Right.
Not the chemo, it's when you start taking that chemotherapy, like Mary Jane said, you get sicker because
Yes.
you're taking that medicine. So,
And then when you're sicker, it's your body can't do what it needs to do to fight off the things that that it needs to.
Absolutely. And in Texas, the Delta 8, so that cannabis, that's what my parents, they're able to get a hold to, because they live in the state of Texas. And it's helped them because they're elderly and they have pains and aches. The hand creams, I order those for them. And, the CBD, it helps calm the nerves, the different aspects. I mean, it's a shame that we can't have the full schedule top level of the actual THC here in the state of Texas, but I think a lot of people make do what they can have access to.
Right. And thank God, that for those who need it right now, they do have the teacup plan if you follow some qualifications. But unfortunately, the problem is that most sick people take some meds. And if you are on the teacup plan, it's not federal. So if you are on any kind of pain management or need any other kind of life-saving medication, you can't test positive for cannabis. So they allow you to have one or the other. And that is so wrong, like in so many levels.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I was going to say this too. Even some of the legal states, and something I've been a big advocate for, is people who are, because you just said that people have trouble taking it because, they might get judged because it's illegal still here, right? Whereas people that are in the legal states, they're getting judged because they're taking it, and maybe their job doesn't really accept that they're taking it. So where does the boundary come? Well, these are the kind of questions I ask the corporate giants. I want to ask them. I want to hear, how are you protecting the citizens that and the state's law that they pass on cannabis? How are you protecting the citizens that are consumers of the cannabis? Because you're not.
Yep. on.
I could go, hey, I could go on all day about that.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's why it's so important to get it federally legalized to end cannabis prohibition forever. And man, how would somebody get a book from you?
Well, through the website, www.courageofcannabis.com. And also, they will be able to find me through my organizational website, which is www.nacrop, NABR, it's a long acronym, MP, NACROP.org. You will be able to access that and also learn about my cannabis work group, because that's important. It's important to represent the cannabis industries with professional level governance work that speaks directly to the boardroom.
Yes.
And that's what I want to be able to do, because that's the only way we're going to be able to penetrate this, through education, through actually getting the people who's making the decisions involved, and by providing that platform like yours and many others, so that they will be able to listen to this and take it back to their employees or employers.
Yeah. And I've just been screaming in my head, I'm so introducing this girl to Shamika Nolan. I don't know if you've met her yet, but she was out of Texas. She's moved to New Mexico, but she's still, she is amazing. Y'all would just be able to move mountains together. I will give you her information here after the show. If you just hit me up on
absolutely
on cannacorner20@gmail.com. And I think y'all have been given my email address on that chain that we just did. So hit me up, give me your details so I can give them to Shamika. I know y'all will do amazing things.
Any closer way that we can get to, that is the gateway, by the way, to legalization. The gateway is to the companies, through the companies, to their employees who are working for them and working and doing work for them, to our kitchen table. This is the way that we're going to be able to penetrate. And this is, to me, one pathway to getting it in the right mind frame for everybody.
For sure, for sure. Is there anything that we had missed that I didn't ask you that you would like to talk about?
No, absolutely not. You've been gracious enough. And again, I'm just so happy that my counterparts are here with me today, because we are strength by numbers. The more they hear our voices, the more they're going to get it. The more they see us and we lead by example, the more people are going to want to do.
Amen. Amen. Well, man, thank you so much for joining us today. I know we're a little past an hour now, but like I said, y'all, hit me up if y'all want to do. I normally have one guest on a show but there were so many y'all. I wanted to get y'all all in, but you can always hit me up later and we'll get a show scheduled. So
absolutely, thank you.
Y'all are amazing. Thank y'all all for all y'all's hard work. And thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us. Very much appreciate you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Candis, for your advocacy.
Anytime y'all have anything going on that you're trying to get people to hear about, hit me up.
Even in the state of Texas, we're going to get you out there more, because you are in Texas.
It's crazy in Texas, man. We've got a walk coming up on the 10th of 7/10 here in Hempy's in Arlington too. So if you can make that come.
Okay, I'll reach out to you on email. Yep.
Heck yeah.
I'll be there.
Well, thank y'all very much, and y'all have a wonderful night.
You too. Thank you.
Nice to see
Thank
you
you.
guys.
Bye, AJ.
Good night.
Bye.
Go authors.
Bye, Mary Jane. Bye-bye, Candis.
Bye. Awesome. They are amazing people, y'all. Go look up courageincannabis.com. Sorry, my allergies are going crazy today. Texas allergies. I've been crying through the whole show. So, but no, that's amazing. Y'all, there is a cure for cancer out there, and it's way better than the big pharma stuff that yes, you might need a little bit of that too, but this is way safer, and it should be the first option for everybody, not the last. And yeah, so, but like I was saying, the 7/10 event, we are getting together with Roach and Bud, Troy from Roach and Bud, KM420 Radio, y'all. We're going to be over at Hempy's Emporium. And it is at 3115 South Cooper Street, Suite 275 in Arlington, Texas. Man, we're going to be out there from 2 to 6. It's going to be so much fun. There's going to be hot dogs, I believe giveaways. We've got Miss Karen Reeves from Team Syntech coming to say a few things. Man, it's just going to be a great time with all our cannabis friends and family. It'll be a great place to network and meet people in the Texas area as well. I believe that the psychedelic conference is coming up. Jess hit me up. It's going to be November 5th. There'll be more information on that. She's supposed to come on July 4th and talk to me more about it. Plus, we'll be handing out the flyers at the event at Hempy's. So big shout out to the I believe it's psychedelic and consciousness, but I'm not 100% sure. I was there the first year and it was amazing. We had a lot of fun. So come learn all about it on July 4th. And hell yeah, meet us at Hempy's on 710 from 2 to 6. Love y'all very much. Peace. Y'all have a good Monday.